Welcome to What If Deku was Technoblade. Like and sub and check the author out. I wonder what my quirk will be? It's a question many ask around 4 to 6 years old. It's a question a particular pair asked as they waited for the results to come back. Izuku Yagi and his sister Izumi waited within the doctor's office. Inko watched her two children with warmth, as this important day would change everything. The doctor discussed the results with Inko as the two of them played. Izumi has an exponentially stronger telekinesis quirk. As of right now, she can only use 5% without tearing her limbs off. What is their father's quirk? Inko discussed it with him. Exponential strength. I suppose that would make hers a mix between ours? She will need both mental and strength training in order to handle her quirk. Meanwhile, Izuku. He has to have a good quirk like Izumi's, right? As of right now, he's quirkless, but he could be a late bloomer. Come back again when they're 6 to check again. If he's quirkless, then it's likely he will be quirkless for life. Unless there is an activation condition I don't know about. When the mention of Izuku's quirklessness came up, time seemed to stop for the family. In that moment, everything seemed to freeze, the future uncertain. After arriving home, she broke the news to Toshinori. Not knowing how to react, he just paid attention to Izumi. They all did. She received an amazing quirk. I'm not surprised they're celebrating that. Izuku thought naively. It's best to let her have her day. She blew out the candle on her cake slice. What Izuku would come to realize was a perfect metaphor for himself. That favoritism would not end after that day. 10 years later. Izuku slowly opened his bedroom door, not letting it creak with its rusty hinges. He would have hell to pay if he disturbed any of them. The stress of trying to live bleached his hair to a pale silver, any trace of green long gone. His eyes were duller through fear, but still green. Slowly, he crept through the silent house, to the kitchen. If he made it, he could grab a bite before any of them realize, and make it to school unscathed. His joints ached as he moved, unable to properly rest as he only had a cot in his room, his bed sold for her to get what she wants. He had nothing to wear except a couple sets of old clothes and a couple uniforms for Aldera. His walls were barren, and the only thing he truly owned was a figurine of the one hero he believed could save him. Oh might. It was old, dented, faded from years of comfort. It was the last present his mother had given him before that day. He brought it with him so she wouldn't take it, break it, or worse. His family didn't want him. That much was clear to him. He just wanted a chance. A chance. School, a haven for many, was not for Izuku. His scars could attest to the explosions and battering that he was subjected to. The days were hell, but he was glad today. Today was the last day here. UA was guaranteed for Izumi and her best friend, Katsuki Bakugo. He hoped he could avoid him, but luck, as usual, was not on his side. Still thinking you can be a hero? Why can't I be allowed to dream? What Izumi said was a metaphorical stab to the heart, twisting the blade of words deeper. Because you're a Deku. That's all you will ever be. The day went as usual. Beatings between classes. No mercy from teachers. The school nurse was the only one who tried to help, because she was the only one who ever tried to be friendly to him, but there were limits to what she could heal. I'm sorry, but that bone will not set right. Aldera, curse this place, won't send a quirkless kid like you to a hospital. That's okay. You did your best. Oh, you poor kid. You don't deserve this. No. I do. You can't control who you are. I think it's idiotic for the world to hate you for something you didn't choose to be. I will always believe in you. Thank you. The last class of the day was the worst. The teacher bragged about Izumi and Katsuki again, and decried him for even trying. What was so wrong with that? Katsuki destroyed his 13th notebook, but what he said last crossed the line, beyond the pale. If you want to be a hero, I might have some advice. He listened, as receiving any advice was welcome. If you really want a quirk, Take a swan dive off the roof and hope you'll get one in your next life." The group laughed, including Izumi. It shattered his heart. "Why do I care so much? You've hated me for a decade. Why do I still care?" On his way home, he avoided any more interaction with them by taking a longer route. Silence did not greet him, however, as soft voices started to filter into his ears. They have been with him for a while, first showing up after his first injury from the boy who is supposed to be his friend. They demanded justice. He ignored them at first, but they built up over time. Tear them apart, shower the walls with their blood. Their penance will be paid with pain. He shoved them down, knowing he couldn't do anything to stop his current tormentors. However, his thoughts were interrupted by an explosion from the sewer grate behind him. Turning, he tried backing away in fear, but the villain caught him before he could leave, trying to suffocate him. His efforts were in vain, and both of them knew it. But he didn't want to give up life that easily. Something within him wanted to survive. However, before he faded to unconsciousness, he heard an all-too-familiar voice. "I am here." When he awoke, he found himself in front of his all-time favorite hero, All Might. "All Might? Oh, thank goodness. I thought I lost you." "Can. Don't worry. I gave an autograph, and caught the villain." He held up a bottle with the villain inside. "Now, if you excuse me." He tensed up to jump. "Wait." Izuku latched onto his leg. It felt like his last lifeline to the world. He needed to ask his question. While they flew through the air, All Might looked back, annoyed at the kid. "What are you? Please get off." "What? But I'll die." Just hang on." They landed on a nearby roof, and Izuku prepared himself mentally for the question he needed to ask. "I'm sorry, All Might. I just have to ask this question since this is the only time I'll ever get to. Can I be a hero without a quirk?" All Might was secretly panicking. His son was asking him, the hero he adored, whether or not he could be a hero. He just couldn't. How could he not see his own weakness? He is too timid for one for all, and he'll die quickly. "Young man. It's impossible without a quirk. Some villains need to be beaten with one. You saw the sludge villain, and what he did to you. You wouldn't stand a chance as a hero." Just then, however, All Might was covered by steam. When it dissipated, he found his father in All Might's place. "Dad. What are you doing here?" He sighed, annoyed. "I didn't want you to find out like this, but I am All Might." Izuku's mouth opened with horror, and tears built up. You're All Might? Did the villain deafen you?" All Might is the hero that tells everyone that they too can be heroes. Was that a lie? "I am trying to keep you safe." "Then where were you for 11 years? His tears streamed down his face as he broke down. "Everyone hates me for something I never could control, and you all focus on Izumi. You punish me for things she does, just because she said I did it. The world is harsh and unforgiving. It's best if you get used to it." Did you know what Izumi said to me today? What could she have said that was so terrible? What's the point? You'll never listen to me anyway. Izuku, I'm going to take that villain to the precinct, then you and I are going to have a long chat, young man, about your habit of blaming Izumi. All Izuku could do was watch as his father left him behind on the roof. If All Might, my father is the #1 hero, thinks I can't be one, then I have no hope. I have nothing. He approached the edge. The voices stopped for once, as if they were horrified at what he was doing. He fell forward and hit the concrete, cracking his skull. He blacked out, welcoming death. He awoke in his room. Confused, he looked at his hand, noticing it was slightly more refined than his usual look. Getting up quietly, he immediately noticed he was taller than ever before. Checking the hall, he heard his family downstairs, so he carefully made his way to the restroom, only for the mirror. When he turned on the light, he had to stop himself from shouting in surprise. He was now 6'8" inches, basically a properly developed version of himself. His musculature was lean but still strong. His hair was long, But instead of stress-induced silver, it was pink, as if blood had been used as a dye. His eyes turned red. That was what shocked him the most. They were clear, cruel, calculating, and piercing rubies. Far from the fearful jade they used to be. Smiling, he cried a single tear as he realized that this had to be a manifestation of his quirk. I have a quirk. I have one. I can be a hero now. But is that what I want? He consulted the voices, as they were the only support he ever had. What is the right choice? Blood of the heroes. Those who hurt us deserve no mercy. They're right. Of course we are. None of them are worthy. Since when have they done anything for others without themselves in mind? Never. He reflected back on his history studies. The ancient Greek heroes never had happy endings. They suffered, but persevered. This era of peace is making them complacent and corrupt. There's nothing I can do. Nothing. He looked out over the city. This society is beyond saving. All of them eventually become tyranny. The only way to save everyone is to free them from their shackles. The Yagi family had dinner, and didn't notice Izuku's disappearance. They laughed, talked, and had a wonderful evening without him. Tomorrow was Izumi's birthday, after all, so it was good to spend time with family. The next day, everything was set up, and everyone was ready. Guests started to arrive, with the Bakugos being first, then Izumi's other friends. Then Toshinori's friends, Izumi's aunts and uncles arrived. Everyone was celebratory of Izumi's birthday, but one person noticed something, noticed the continuing pattern. Toshinori, where's Izuku? What do you mean, Shota? It's his birthday too. You can't just ignore him. I'm not. He hasn't been one for celebrations. Really? Seems strange. He's probably in his room. Shota Izawa left the main party and went up to the bedrooms. One was clearly Izumi's. A sign with her name hung on the wall, and a peek in there denoted all her interests. However, he had to check for Izuku's. And when he found Izuku's room, he found a shocking scene. It was empty. The window was opened, and most of the hero merchandise was trashed. The All Might poster on the wall, the most prominent and expensive piece in the room, was torn to shreds, irreparable. A notebook was open on the desk, one page with All Might's signature, covered up with a word, neglectful hypocrite. You aren't a hero. You always care for her. Why do you hate me? A lot of similar things were held within that journal. Izawa realized that Izuku found out who Toshinori was. But in the worst way possible. What happened? Gripping the book, he went downstairs, just in time for Izumi to receive the cake. He couldn't stand it. Yagi, where is your son? He is not in his room? You haven't seen his room recently, have you? You mind telling me what this is about? He showed him the page. Everyone stopped to hear this conversation. Even Izumi. What? You neglected your own son, Yagi? I never neglected him. The fact he wrote this and ran away contradicts you. How did he find out you're? He paused for a moment, looking at Izumi. Does she know? Ah, fuck it. She'll learn anyway. Better in the same way as my nephew did. Clearing his throat, that you are All Might? Izumi couldn't believe what Uncle Izawa just said. Dad was All Might? They looked nothing alike. But, he confirmed it through his words. I was chasing the sludge villain yesterday. He was a hostage, so I freed him, took the villain, and as I was about to leave he does the idiotic thing and grabs my leg. And then when we land, he asks me if a quirkless person can become a hero. As soon as those words left his mouth, you could hear a pin drop. You said. What? That a quirkless kid like him can't become a hero. I fight effectively quirkless. Especially against mutant types, since I can't cancel those out. If I can be a hero, he could as well. He has a weak character. And I was frustrated with him due to the fact that he immediately blames Izumi for his faults. From what I know from talking to him, he isn't the kind to blame others. He sees his own flaws and tries to improve on them. He has a heart of gold. Toshinori couldn't handle the different perspective. He blames his sister for breaking things he clearly did, for hurting him, and just being a weak little coward. Did you ever try to find out who told the truth? Izumi would never lie to me. Are you sure? The group looked back at Izumi, who was trying to remain unnoticed ever since the topic shifted to her. Well? Did you lie about Izuku? What? No, why would I? Because he is gone. Ran away. And he blames you three. Aizawa gestured to Toshinori, Izumi, and Inko, for his hellish life. Answer me honestly, did you lie about him to Toshinori? Her silence was the answer none of them wanted to hear. Carefully reading another page of the book, what he found chilled him to the core. You bullied him with a kachan? Izumi, is this true? No, of course not. Izuku has never lied to me, why would he lie to himself? Because he is a quirkless Deku, Katsuki said before Izumi covered his mouth. Mitsuki and Inko were both horrified at what he just said. Inko left down the hall, with Mitsuki leaving to comfort her. Namori was furious. What the hell did you call my nephew, runt? He misspoke. Oh, no, he meant what he said. I can tell because it's the same tone killers use after they get revenge. He has no remorse. Katsuki removed her hand. Yeah, he was just a shitty extra who thought he could be a hero. What a joke. Namori couldn't take it anymore and left the party crying. Aizawa was furious. Unlike you, he has potential to be a pro hero. He uses what he sees and acts with it. He was brilliant at his analysis. He only got a 74 in his tests though. Did your teachers hate him too? The rest of the pro heroes there were disgusted by the further silence around that question, leaving the house as if it would taint them as well. There is only one way to make this right, Yagis. Fix your mistakes. Before it's too late. Inko was searching. Every photo they took after 2604 did not have Izuku. I need to find one. I need to. I'm not a terrible mother. Inko, calm down. I can't, Mitsuki. I know this has been a long day but. Am I a terrible mother? She burst into tears, unable to come to terms with what's been said. You forgot about your son, Inko. You were great for Izumi, but I didn't know that you left him behind. You all did. All you can do is improve and be better. Mitsuki hugged her friend, attempting to comfort her. Regret laced her voice as she asked Mitsuki a simple question, why are you still friends with me? Because if I chose not to be friends with you, then I'd have to abandon Katsuki. It'll be hell, but I'll try to fix both your problems. And you're my best friend, Inko. I know you didn't mean it in your core, at heart. Izuku continued to walk through the streets. All he had was a single notebook, and a backpack with basic supplies. As he walked by Dagoba Beach, he found that he gained another new ability. 10 squares lined the bottom of his vision, and he had somehow picked up items referred to as wooden remains. The voices whispered about taking stock of what he has somehow collected within his inventory. When he thought about his inventory, a screen popped up. On the left was a space for inventory, and above that was an image of himself with 4 boxes next to it for future armor to equip. Next to that, he noticed a square divided into 4. Above that, it said crafting. On the right was a catalog of data, information he's collected within his notebooks, and crafting recipes for the wooden scrap he has. He can make 2 things, sticks, and a crafting table? Quickly acting, he made it and found it in his inventory. I can make things from raw materials as well as come back to life? Incredible. Is there a limit to this quirk? Carefully, he tested the capabilities at his disposal. He could make wooden, stone, and steel tools, weapons and gear all on his own. He found an actual diamond out there too. An old wedding ring, discarded for being dangerous to wear due to how the gold portion was misshapen and twisted. But when he held the diamond, he found that he had a recipe for diamond gear. The damage was reported to be higher. And so was the defense and durability. Amazing. He kept it on him, and decided to wander. His tranquil stroll was interrupted by the sounds of a scuffle in an alley to his right. Looking that direction, he found a famous hero accosting a young woman. Izuku recognized him as Slide and Go. The woman was frantic. "Let me go. No, I think we have time to spend together." Izuku recognized this as further corruption within the hero ranks. A headache stabbed at him when the voices spoke yet again. "Justice must be served. We demand his blood." Drawing his blade, he decided he would give him one chance to repent, much to their discontent. Quickly equipping his armor as he ran, he kicked him away, down the alley. To the woman, Izuku gave a single command: "Run." "Thank you." She turned and ran down the alley and to the main road. Focusing back on the pro hero, he gave an ultimatum. He was kinda unused to this position, so he had to do everything in his power to remain steady. "I'm going to give you one chance to back off and reform." "Hell no. We should be able to do what we want, free to use our quirks however we wish. Besides, she was a worthless quirkless slut. He sickens us. Kill him. Kill, kill, kill. That's it, I've given you your chance. You forfeited that when you said that." "What, because the quirkless don't deserve to live? Ha! You are dead." Slide and Go decided his best course of action was a frontal assault. Izuku recited his knowledge of the hero aloud. Slide and Go, quirk, slick. Allows you to make flat surfaces frictionless, increasing your speed. And a quirk supremacist following Redestro, from the sounds of it. You are proof of a plague infecting society and the government. You cannot survive. You're just speaking gibberish. But, he was clearly unnerved by the depth of the information. "Am I? Then why are you afraid?" He swung at the hero, slicing his leg in a fluid motion. He avoided the most critical damage, but still received damage. Twirling the blade as if he'd used it for years, he dodged the pro's attack, and sliced down again, severing the Achilles tendon, effectively making him quirkless, as he couldn't use his quirk without hurting himself now. He tried to crawl away but Izuku didn't let him. Placing his weight on him, he raised his blade and swiftly pierced into his back. The hero screamed as he was pinned. Raising the sword, he stabbed where he knew the heart would be, hearing the crunch of bone as his scapula fractured and pierced his heart alongside the steel blade. Ripping it out, he watched as the hero bled out over the course of a minute. The voices cheered his action. "You did well, get more false, tainted blood. We want the corrupted dead. Justice for all." He was interrupted by a new voice. "Well done. Why kill that hero? He was assaulting a woman. Justice condemned him there and then. Perfect? Why have you come? You have potential to cure this cursed hero society of the corruption that roots through them. I wish to train you to handle it better. I'll accept." Izumi and Bakugo had been accepted into UA, having been forced to take the exams instead of going through recommendations as planned. Both Inko and Toshinori worked at UA for their community service, the only punishment due to their high rankings as heroes. The whole ordeal was shoved under the rug, with the teachers disgusted with them, but willing to give them another chance. Only Namori and Aizawa would still hold a grudge against them and their children, as what they did was unforgivable in their eyes. However, today was the day of the unforeseen simulation joint. Aizawa sighed, regretting even letting them into the hero course. The four of them will be a headache, although he did see some positive signs. Izumi is trying to distance herself from the events, and Bakugo, her attitude sorrowful and stoic, far from the cheery girl she was before Izuku's disappearance. Bakugo hadn't changed one bit, however, even with his mother's disciplinary methods. They seemed to be doing more harm than good, as he shifted the blame to Izuku yet again. He somehow made a new set of friends, but they look up to him, which is a massive mistake. They'll learn that in time. He was shifted from his thoughts as they had arrived at the USJ facility. Leaving the organization of his students to Ida and Yaoyorozu, he led them into the facility where 13 and Telemetric were waiting for them. Oh, might coming? He spent too much time doing hero work. Izuku held up 3 fingers. I see. We might as well get started. 13 announced. The student named Uraka interrupted her. Hero 13. You're my favorite. It's always a pleasure to meet a fan. Uraka would be a good hero, in Izuku's estimation. Useful quirk, although that doesn't define people, a cheery can-do attitude. Just needs to work on her flaws a little. It's amazing how she managed to hold back the 0-pointer like that while pinned under rubble. However, Izuku noticed a wispy purplish-black portal by the fountain at the middle of the facility. People stepped out. Villains. Cool, you even have fake villains. Those aren't fake. 13. Protect the students. Telemetric, you're with me. Right. The pair dispatched most of the low-level villains in the courtyard, but there were 3 that hung back. A tall wispy smoke-covered man with glowing eyes, probably the one responsible for the portals, a girl with long gray-blue hair covered in hands, and a taller man with long pink hair, wearing a red cape with white fur accents. His face was covered with a pig's skull, and topped it off with a simple gold crown. The other 2 may have been unnerving, but he was the center of the show. Saying something to the wispy man, they nodded and portaled to the students. Crap, I can't stop him. I hope 13 can. It turns out she couldn't do much, having not been in combat for years. He used his portals to separate the students into groups of villains. Izuku watched as his mother, Telemetric, and Eraserhead fought off the villains in the square. All Might is not here. Telemetric, quirk, telekinesis and telemetry, although the latter requires location and channeling. Very strong. Eraserhead, quirk, erasure, eye contact erases quirks. Creates dry eye. He'll be reaching his limit soon. What do you think we should do? Shigaraki pondered for a moment. It looks like they can beat any low level we throw at it. Should we introduce our tank? Odds of success are around 92%. There is a chance Telemetric can send him out of our reach, but he would overpower them before that could happen. I will leave it to you. I like those odds. Kurogiri, send in the Nomu. As you wish. As Izuku watched the battle, he asked Kurogiri for a favor. Did you place Izumi and Bakugo together? Yes. They are at the ruin zone. Can I have a portal there? Sure. Izuku walked through the portal, leaving the 2 of them and the Nomu to deal with the pros. Izumi didn't want to work with Katsuki, but there was no choice. He realized this too. Thankfully Kirishima bridged the gap, being the positive influence he always is. They just beat the last villain of the group, and were exhausted. Man, I'm glad none of us got seriously hurt. Good job both of you. Thanks. I don't need your praise, extra. Now isn't that a familiar phrase? They stiffened as it was full of malice. Turning in the direction of the voice, they found one of the big 3 villains there. Why are you here? Me? Cause chaos. Or are you asking why am I right here, right now? That should be evident, Katsuki. I don't know who you are. Of course you don't. Brushing back the cape, he was revealed to be wearing armor made of iron, with one of his 2 swords drawn, the other sheathed on his belt. Your move, Katsuki. Bakugo needed no further encouragement, even with the other 2 telling him not to. Launching himself, he readied his typical right hook, which Izuku deflected, slicing his torso. In the corner of his vision, the villain saw Izumi ready her power, but she was at her limit, so he pulled out a potion of nausea and weakness, and chucked them at her, decommissioning her from the fight. Angered, Katsuki tried to launch another explosion. In response, the villain then impaled his hand with the sword, twisting it behind him to force him to hit himself with the resulting blast. Trying to get him off his back, Katsuki was greeted with another impaling, this time with the same sword. To get the point across, the villain then impaled him through the abdomen and into a wall. Now stay put. He turned to the other 2. What? Do you want with us? Oh. You too. I know what you did to Itsuku. She paled at the name. Kirishima noticed, but ignored that for now. So you're here for revenge? Partially. Killing them won't help, I just want them to suffer. Now I'll ask you to leave. What? I am giving you the option to back away. I can't call myself a hero if I backed away from someone in danger. Very honorable. I hope that I won't have to kill you to appease them. Instead of letting Kirishima dictate the battle with the first move, he struck first, barely giving enough time for the kid to harden up. Izuku realized this battle wouldn't have been won with a steel sword. It was like beating a rock, so he needed to change tactics. Switching it to an iron pickaxe, he chipped away at the kid's arm. Eijiro Kirishima, quirk, hardening, makes skin as tough as rock. With subsequent weaknesses like rock. Solution? A pickaxe. Through the teeth. And the fight ended as he proclaimed, swinging it upward and tearing a brutal scar through his face, going from his chin all the way to his forehead. His head slammed into the wall, stunning him, and he placed his pick at his neck. Do you yield? He is a good kid. Don't kill him, kill the others. Kill Katsuki. Kill Izumi. He shook away the voices, calling out to Kirishima, I will give you one chance to give up and survive. Take it. His breathing was ragged as he conceded, I will. Good. He put away the pickaxe and started to leave. Izumi called to him. Where is he? Please. You never cared then. Why care now, Soror? He ripped out the blade from Bakugo's back. Also, he'll need medical attention as soon as possible. That wound is bleeding pretty heavily. The last thing he could hear is Kirishima tell the both of them, you two have a lot of explaining to do later, but come on. We need to get Bakugo to a doctor. He's got the right heart. But he's surrounded by corruption. Izuku stopped hearing the screeches of the Nomu a while ago, and that meant it was defeated. Only one person has the raw power to beat that, and it would have definitely shaved off the amount of time he can spend with that power. All Might has lost an hour. However, when he looked out at the main square, Shigaraki and Kurogiri were nowhere to be found. They left me behind? Forced to leave. But they could have contacted me. I should have expected this from a foe. But not from Tenka. Something must have forced her. He checked the burner phone he used to contact her, and found a single voice message. Her voice was hushed as she called him, I'm sorry. I couldn't stay. Sensei's orders. He doesn't want you to return, but I need you. I don't know what to do. She heard something from outside her room, and was forced to finish the call. I love you, Izu? The message ended. I called it. A foe is a tyrant, and I knew that he didn't align with me, but what does he want with Tenka? He pondered this question until he was interrupted by telemetric. Found him. Oh, you think I wanted to hide? Meanwhile, Izuku's brain was in overdrive. Same quirk, same weakness. I didn't want to fight her right now, but I have no choice. I will fight back. No longer will I be ignored. The battle never ends. Kill her. Not yet. Suffering must be commenced first. Izuku rushed forward, blade drawn, and quickly cut at her side. She barely dodged, only to be met with a splash potion of weakness. Her fatigue caught up with her as she collapsed to her knees. And I thought you were number 7 for a reason. Typical. Either way, I will be seeing you later. They said you know where he is. Please. Pain laced her voice. Perhaps she has already felt pain for 10 months? Let's give her a test, then. Oh? You all finally care about him now? Please. Tears streamed down her face as she looked at him, desperate. Ah. Fine, come to the rooftop at 40th and 23rd, at midnight tonight, and I will give you your answers, Mater. Don't bring anyone else, clear? Why yes. He left the building, and snuck out of the USJ. As Nezu and the police worked to piece together what happened at the USJ, interesting details in relation to the Blade, as he had been known as. He had connections to Izuku, and astounding quirk analysis and strategic capabilities. They were wrapping up by debriefing Inko. So, was there anything about the Blade that you can tell us? He knew that my weaknesses were the same as Izumi's. He used some kind of substance to make me weaker. Did he mention Izuku at all? Don't bring anyone else, clear? No. Was there anything else you would like to add? He called me something different than my hero name. He called me, what was it? Mater? Nezu locked onto that word. Are you sure he said that one? Yes. Why? Do you know how difficult it is for humans to learn more than one language? I know that most people are monolingual. Sure, many learn the basics in school, but often forget them later. Greater than correct. Do you know how difficult it would be to learn a dead language? A dead language? One that isn't said anymore, or even recognized. I don't blame you for knowing that word. Although its meaning changes the way I look at the blade. What does it mean? To her horror, Nezu said the one word she'd never hear again, mother. It can't be him. Right? He didn't fight using a quirk. It could well be him. I need time to think about this. You're free to go, rest well, today was a handful for everyone. Nezu watched her go, sipping tea and laughing silently to himself. Clever boy. If only the world didn't hate you when you were younger. Alas, I can see you have moved the first pawn. I wonder how this game will end? Izuku made it back to the building where the League was stationed. He climbed up a fire escape, to where he knew his room was, sneaking in. He left some valuable materials there, and wanted to make sure he could get them. His room was covered in gear and crafting equipment. He collected his cauldron, brewing stand, crafting table, and materials, and placed them into his ender chest, as it was called. Portable vault would have been more accurate, but it didn't really matter what it was called when it functioned perfectly fine. The door opened and he found Tenka standing in the frame. She quietly closed the door, then rushed and hugged him. Thank goodness you came. It's been horrible. All for One doesn't believe in what we do. That became clear today. But I have a plan to take him down. For now I need to go into hiding. He'll be on edge. Just try to stay safe, alright? She nodded, but didn't let go. Her pinkies were raised in order not to decay him. I'll have to leave. But I will keep my burner as long as I can. I will save you from him. I just don't have the capability right now. And I know he keeps a close leash on you. Okay? You're my only hope. I know. I have to leave, but I'll keep in touch. Okay. Izuku hugged her tightly for another couple seconds, then left back through the window. Inko waited on the rooftop, watching the time go by. At midnight exactly, a voice sounded behind her. So, you actually came alone. I was expecting an ambush. She turned and found him, unarmed. Izuku. Is it actually you? So, Nezu translated what I said. Please, don't get my hopes up. It's me. She ran to him and hugged him, crying. I missed the chance to watch my baby boy grow up through my own neglect. I can't get those memories back. How can I make it up to you? When I ran away, I held hatred for all of you. You two ignored me for a decade, showering Izumi with praise and ignoring her faults. I won't forgive yet. But I can forget. You're already on your way through your actions. However, you're only at tier 1 of my trust so far. To get to the familial trust you want, it will take a lot of effort. Will you try? Of course. I want to be the mother I should have been. He smiled. Can I see your face? It has changed since. Well, that's a tier 3 secret. But to answer your question, sure, I guess. He took the pig skull mask off. You became such a handsome man. I'm sorry. Shh. Just work on moving forward. Focus on who you want to be, and become that person. I'll try. He smiled warmly before putting the mask back on. I have things I need to do. I was recently abandoned by Pater's oldest rival. I need to save someone before it's too late. Can't I help? Unfortunately. All I can ask is for you to stay out of my way. Can I ask why you're so dedicated? Same reason you remain loyal to Pater. He glanced back. Love. He laughed, melting into the shadows. The last thing she saw was a glowing red eye as he left her view. As he left Inko to ruminate on her thoughts, he pulled out a second burner phone. This one was a very particular person, with the contact listed as Sensei Stain. "Hey, I'm calling in that favor from 4 months ago. What do you need?" "I need contact with the Shihisaki." "Why the hell would you want them?" "Their recent project would be useful for what I'm doing." "What happened with the League?" "Tenka and I hit it off really well, actually. She stole my first kiss ages ago." "Sounds too good to be true." "She threw a tantrum the first time we met." "Yeah. Well, a foe got involved and forced us to separate and kicked me out of the League. I'm trying to free her by killing the source of my problems." "Yikes. I can see why you need the drastic measure of their product. How will you acquire it?" "Discussing it with them directly. Perhaps giving some of my lightweight iron armor to them in exchange. Chiasuke will probably decline since it is the result of your quirk." "How about we discuss this in person?" "You're in Hasu, right Sensei?" "Yes. I'll meet you once you arrive." Inko returned to UA the next day, wishing to discuss further actions with Nezu. He was busy on a phone call with an irate Izuku. "I understand you are having problems with Bakugo. You only have to hold on one more week before you'll be allowed to do anything to him. I have an appointment out." "Good day, Izuku." He ended the call. Izuku Yagi, what a surprise. "Please, take a seat. Would you like some tea?" "That would be appreciated. You had a lot to think about last night." As much as I want to deny it, there is no other explanation for his actions at the USJ. "Indeed." He handed her a cup of chamomile infused with a little honey. "But that's not why you are here. Is it?" "No, he asked to meet last night. I suspected you were hiding something." "Nothing escapes you, does it?" She chuckled to herself. "He's grown, but the same boy I still remember. Trying to help people in his own way. He is a vigilante who has killed heroes." "That is true. He is a vigilante, one who worked with the League of Villains, as they called themselves, but his priorities have changed. He told me critical information. That being? All for One is back. He is the head of the League. And he doesn't want Izuku to stay with them, as he jeopardizes his plans. This is quite a problem. I assume you haven't told Toshinori yet?" "No. He won't take this well. That is why you came to me." "That? And advice? About? How to gain his trust?" He laughed over his tea, chilling her to the core as he responded. "I am the worst person to ask. Trust is a foreign concept, even to me. No, if you want advice in that department, ask Hound Dog. I will arrange an appointment." Thank you, Nezu. "The pleasure is mine, Inko." His beady eyes appeared to bore into her very soul as she left. "To think, you are manipulating your mother. Or do you really wish to trust her again? Only time will tell. After all warfare is based on deception. And if what you told her is true, then war is soon to be upon us. I must make preparations. Good to see you again, Izuku. When out in public use my title." "Very well, Techno. You still haven't explained that to me. Maybe another time. I can see you have been doing well." "Yes. My work carries me forward. You realize your path will never win? As long as I make the desired impact, it does not matter. Thinking like that will get you killed. But the legacies will last." "Who is the next target?" "Ingenium. That's a shame. For him." The next few days, the heroes were frantic due to the team-up between Stain and the Blade. Each was formidable on their own, but the two of them were near unstoppable. Most heroes in Hasu worked in partnerships of two for safety, but since Mirko refused, the hero native was on his own. He patrolled an area in downtown Hasu, trying to help everyone he could. His quirk wasn't a powerhouse or flashy quirk, but he made up for it by helping in ways others didn't consider. His quirk allowed him to track down any target if he received a single detail on them, instrumental for manhunts and priority targets. And he just heard Stain's voice. He could tell because he had heard an audio snippet from a recording device on Ingenium. He tried to call Mirko, but it only went to voicemail. Damning his situation, Native tried contacting Endeavor's agency, but he lost signal when he went into an alleyway. When he rounded the corner, he found Stain ready for him. "You found me." "Crap. So I did. You realize I'm not alone?" A blade was held to his throat from behind. "Battling enemies often require misdirection. You fell for our trap, Native. Why are you here? Fame? Wealth? Just to stop you hurting anyone else? I don't hurt anyone who is innocent. Nobody deserves to die." "A flaw in your argument. What about the worst of the worst? Convict and make them pay legally. They will always get away with the broken system in place. Would you die for others?" "I will try my best." He's avoiding the question. "That is enough. Hang on, Stain. It is a complex question. No, All Might would do anything to save a life. We already discussed this. I will not argue that again." Stain lunged at him and struck at the hero, injuring him. He then licked the blade, activating his quirk. He was paralyzed, and he knew he was about to die. "Damn it. This is how I die?" The two were about to argue in front of the hero, when a new hero came. "Wait. Ingenium. No. That's his brother from the sports festival. Stain. I will avenge Ingenium. And he's mad with revenge. Stain will kill him for sure. Kid, get out of here. He'll kill you." Stain looked at Native with a newer appreciation. "You think words will save you? You can't be a hero like All Might. So you deserve to die. Just like him, blinded by rage." As Stain brought the hero student to his knees, the blade said to Native, "Don't worry. Not everyone can be like All Might. I'll try to convince him to spare you, since I know you're not corrupt like Slide and Go or Red Gauntlet." "Thanks? What do you gain from my life? A good hero out there. Those are hard to come by. Besides, I do need someone with your quirk, even for a moment." "What? How do you locate people with your quirk?" "By." At this time, another challenger arrived. Izumi did. "Sorry, I need to deal with this." You're not the one stuck here." "Touché." Izumi saw the scene and realized she was heavily outmatched. "Izumi. You." Stain pointed his blade at her. "Why are you here, hero?" He held the world in such disdain. "Izumi? Leave. Please don't die because of my stupidity. At least you learned your lesson." "Too late though." Are you him?" Did Mater tell you?" Who?" "Ha. Uneducated Puta. I want to talk with her privately." "No, I have to save them both, no matter what." Stain grinned. "Even with the possibility of facing me? Please Izumi, leave. Don't meddle in. Meddling in places where they shouldn't is what a hero does. All Might taught me that, and if you think I will leave you, you're wrong. You might be worth leaving alive." The blade sat out the fight, as he didn't want to fight. To Native, he sighed, "Got unlucky didn't you?" "What? Saved by children. Or they're trying to. Why aren't you attacking?" "I already explained this, but I always give my opponents the chance to reform. Sensei doesn't. Simple as. Okay? Besides, I want them to stall for time. Sensei needs to get through his thick skull that this tactic isn't working. And I need to talk to some people." Native shivered when he realized that he was deceiving his own sensei to get what he wanted. "Are you even a vigilante? Just because I strategize, does not make me evil." Stain was just defeated by the combination of Izumi, Ingenium 2.0, and Shoto Todoroki. He clapped slowly. "Well done you three." He needed to learn a lesson. That he isn't always right. "What do you want?" "First, I apologize to Native. He was following us. And for this." He stood at full height and kicked him, knocking him out. "What was that for?" "Well, I wanted a chat with you. I don't mind the others here, but him. No, he doesn't need to hear this." "About? Has Inko told you yet?" "Why yes. How did you and Toshinori take the news?" Do you delight in our suffering? Only if you meant what you said to me. The other two students were confused. Yagi, what is he talking about? Oh, she didn't tell you? Well, I suppose it's her responsibility then. Endeavor called out behind them, only just arriving, having been distracted by the burning city, clearly attacked by the League as well as Stain. Hey, what are you? Is that Stain? And the blade? And there are your reinforcements. Izuku grinned. Surrender now, Blade. I surrender. Wait, that worked? Come on. He unsheathed his swords and chucked them behind him. Stain would hate me for this, but I frankly don't care what Sensei says anymore. I have a schedule to keep, and none of you will stand in my way. The interrogation room was stark of any details, but Izuku knew that both Yagis, Endeavor, Nezu, and Aizawa were behind that glass. Probably discussing him. He didn't care at the moment, leaning back and humming a gentle theme. Eventually singing a stanza to get their attention and use their curiosity to force their hand. Oh, woe to thee, ye people of order, I hope your homes continue to smolder, and that you'll ne'er rise again, and leave me be and leave my friend. They must have realized it was time to begin the interrogation. Eraserhead and Detective Tsukuchi entered the room and sat down across from him. If you're doing good cop bad cop, I think. You both look ridiculous. How do you want to be referred to? Well, in the criminal underworld I'm called Techno. But I wonder if Inko and Nezu told you yet? Told us what? Maybe not. Call me Techno then. Why? If I didn't tell Stain, my sensei, then why would I tell you? All truths so far, except for the name itself. I see, I know who you are. My pater talked to you over the phone once or twice. Quirk, lie detector. Rather straightforward. You know me. Can I know you? Well, I was going to force my family to reveal it, but I suppose this will do. He grinned. Make them suffer. My full name is Izuku Yagi, son of Toshinori and Inko, otherwise known as All Might and Telemetric. Tsukuchi blanched while Aizawa paled. What, not happy to see me, uncle? You've changed. Well, that happens when your quirk awakens when you jump off a building. What? You heard me. Why would you do that? I thought you were smart. I knew you'd find my hatred left behind. Neglectful parents. What else? Do you know what Izumi said to me the day before my birthday? Do you? No. We never asked in any depth. Which I regret. That all I'd ever be would be a Deku. A worthless person who is not her brother. Katsuki went a step further, though, by giving some advice. What did he tell you? If I want a quirk, take a swan dive off a rooftop. You know, he was kinda right in that regard. He did what? Don't believe me? Ask them. Oh, but I think she's changing, so don't be too harsh. It's Bakugo I'd look out for. Believe me, if I had my way, he wouldn't be in my class. Well, after that trauma, I awoke in my bed. I think I had died properly, but came back at the last place I rested. I turned into this. He gestured to himself. What did you do after? After I ran away. The family enjoyed their dinner while I left. I discovered all my quirk could do, and helped save a woman's life. What do you mean? She was going to be assaulted by Slide and Go, so I killed him. Man, the voices wouldn't shut up about killing that guy. So you're schizophrenic as well? Is that due to the quirk? I wouldn't say it started with that. It's been happening ever since I could remember. They were unbearable sometimes, as they wanted me to hurt everyone who hurt me. But enough about that. Why the pig skull? My first milestone. After receiving training from Stain Sensei, my job was to kill either a villain or a corrupt hero. I beat Slide and Go, but this was my final test. A pig-like villain disguised as an international hero. I butchered him and now wear his death as a badge of honor. Did you know I met All Might? He saved me from the sludge villain before I jumped. Course he told you, right? We did learn about that. Did he tell you what he said to me? Yes. Can you tell us how you met Stain Sensei? I was walking when I heard a commotion in an alleyway. Slide and Go assaulted a quirkless woman. I intervened. He espoused Destro's vile words, and so his blood was used to appease the violent voices. He approached me after, telling me I had potential. For 5 months, I trained in swordsmanship, archery, and many other things. After my final test, I was approached by the League. And met Tenka Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and Hisashi Shigaraki. What were they like? Hisashi is a liar and a tyrant. I believed we had similar goals at the start, but I learned quickly that he wishes for power. Nothing new. Kurogiri is a reanimated corpse. Of who, I have no clue. But he is rational and eloquent. Tenka was a brat when we first met. Unable to concede anything, nor willing to think things through. You say was? I helped her develop into a better person. Granted, still a villain, but a decent person, not a child. What are your goals? Freedom for all. Government and society is in the way. That would just be anarchy. Yes. True freedom. He grinned mischievously. It was a dream we shared. But things have changed. My priority has shifted, although it still follows my ideals. Your new priority? Kill all for one. Nezu looked at Toshinori, who coughed blood at the mention of his nemesis. He can't be. Izuku seemed to stare through the glass with his ruby eyes. I bet you're having a mental crisis, aren't you, Toshinori? Nezu laughed for a second. I would like to talk to him directly. Tsukuchi remained in the room, while Izawa left the interrogation room. Well, you got what you wanted, Toshinori. A son who hates you. I'm going back to UA. Nezu nodded into all right. Inko, can you bring me into the room? I wish to discuss a possibility with him. Very well. She didn't like the look he was giving Izuku, but obliged the chimera. Izuku's smile widened when he saw Inko bring Nezu into the room. Nice to see you again, mater. Izuku. Don't worry about me. After all, if Nezu wishes to speak with me, then there is something he wants from me. And that will most likely be in both our benefits to have a discourse. Just be careful. He nodded, but kept his gaze on the chimera. Nezu? What do I owe the pleasure? We haven't met before, but I knew you were an interesting child when I monitored you from a young age. Thank you for the compliments. But that isn't why you are here. You are right. You want to kill all for one? As long as I fight him, I will put aside my goal of complete freedom for now. I see. I have an offer. The glass behind him cracked, clearly punched by an irritated man. Inko, Tsukuchi, do you mind? They left to go calm down the bull-headed Toshinori. What do you have in mind? I would like for you to come into UA's jurisdiction. You won't be able to leave the campus, but the charges, and jail time, will be dropped. What does that do for me? I'm sorry? Nezu was baffled. Those are just bare-bones beginnings to an offer. You still haven't told me what you want. Why would I accept without knowing everything? Interesting. How many languages do you know? Izuku pondered this question. Well, you know I know Japanese and Latin. I also know English, a little Spanish, and Chinese, only to be able to read the original Art of War. But you figured that, didn't you? Nezu was impressed with the amount of them. Even I know only 3. And he studied Sun Tzu. I'll have to be extremely careful. Only a little Spanish? It is harder than I thought it would be. I honestly need an Español biblioteca just to learn it properly. Here, I'll use the knowledge that he looked up to heroes to my advantage. His want to cause change would be useful and a weakness against this. I see. Well, I would like for you to teach the heroics classes how to use their mind. And why would I help you? Your hero students aren't heroic. They aren't true heroes, and the system won't change. And what makes a true hero? Do I even need to mention Katsuki and Izumi? Damn. He is going to hold their acceptance against me. Heroes, as you call them, have twisted what they used to be. They are cowards, who scurry along, trying to get fame, glory, and wealth. That is what you teach them to be, no? I fail to see how helping you helps me. Let's see if a threat could change his mind. Probably not, but it's worth a try. We can send you to Tartarus. You could. But you would cause a divide within your own staff, those who agree with you. And those who don't. You would lose respect. And if respect is what is keeping your role at UA, then respect isn't much, is it? Nezu's silence was the only confirmation he needed. I didn't even consider Inko, Shota, and Namori's position before that action. That was a rookie's mistake. You realize since you gave the offer, you assumed I am naive. But I have grown since my fall. I have to concede this time. What do you want? 3 things, Nezu? First 2 are easy. Let me keep the clothes on my back, and help combat a foe. He is one of the things I despise most. And what is the third? No shackles on me at all. Treat me as an equal, and I will help you with what you want. Not going to refuse if I grant that? I give my word. So will you refuse my conditions, and incur Mater's wrath? Or will you bring me aboard? Nezu cursed. He navigated me into this trap. Well done, you win this round. Welcome to UA. Until I tell the students, call me Techno. Very well, welcome to UA, Techno. What are your plans for the future? Nothing you need concern yourself with, little Nezu? That will be the end of the video. See you never, haha.